Democrat Stacy Abrams is headed back to the ballot. She's announced her bid for Georgia governor in 2022, setting up a potential rematch against Republican Governor Brian Kemp, who narrowly defeated her in 2018. NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray joins us now with this on more. Mark, how surprising is it to you that Stacy Abrams is running again, and why do you think this time might be different?
Yeah, her bid to run again, Morgan, is one of the worst kept secrets in all of Washington politics. It was always assumed she was going to end up trying to have this rematch against Brian Kemp, particularly given so much the work that she did on the organizing front for Democrats in the 2020 elections that actually allowed Joe Biden first to win Georgia in the presidential election. And then we ended up seeing Democrats win the 2 Senate runoffs in January of 2021, giving Democrats the Senate majority. And a lot of the credit ended up going to much of the organizing work that Stacy Abrams had following her defeat in 2018.
Yeah, I think it's really important to note that organizing work did happen right in the wake of that defeat. And then to see kind of what happened as a result of that work, it was a national story, a national moment that the country was dealing with. But it was also happening in the ecosystem of all these other political maneuverings and happenings at the time. So talk to me about the specific political climate in Georgia, because Democrats, speaking of those sort of maneuverings and things happening in that ecosystem, they're on the defensive this year with Senator Raphael Warnock's seat up for election. How does that now impact the potential of this governor's race?
Yeah, this is shaping up 1 year out before the 2022 midterms to be a much worse environment for Democrats than we saw in 2018 when Donald Trump was in the White House, was unpopular, and Democrats were destined to end up having big pickup opportunities. And so you could actually see this maybe being a more challenging environment for Stacey Abrams than we ended up seeing when she lost in 2018. But there's one key important point to make, Morgan, and that is that the Republican Party is in a lot worse shape in Georgia right now than they were in 2018, with Donald Trump going after elected officials, including Governor Brian Kemp, including Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. You know, a lot of people end up attributing that internecine warfare on the Republican side to the fact that Democrats were able to win those Senate runoffs in Georgia, and that climate hasn't really ended up getting any better for Republicans.
I want to stay on that point, if I can, for just one more beat, Mark, because you're talking about this challenging climate. And the truth is, Stacey Abrams came very, very close to defeating Brian Kemp in 2018. And there were a lot of questions about how the ballots were handled. I remember being on the ground there in Georgia reporting on this, and you would hear these stories from people who would show you the long lines, who would show you that their ballots, their names had suddenly disappeared from the voter roll. So, you know, Kemp has also been the target of a ton of criticism, also from his own party, from former President Trump and his allies after that 2020 election. Does a Democratic challenger, whether it's Abrams or anyone else, increase the likelihood that Kemp does get primaried?
I think Donald Trump is going to ensure that Brian Kemp ends up getting primaried. And yesterday, we ended up seeing the former president issue a statement after Abrams decided to get in, and it was more critical of Kemp than it was of Stacey Abrams. And so there is discussion that David Perdue, the former Republican senator from Georgia who was defeated in that runoff, might end up primarying Brian Kemp. Maybe someone else does. But it's clear that Donald Trump wants somebody to run against Brian Kemp, which is going to devote a lot of resources, time, and energy, and actually help Stacey Abrams. That she gets to focus on the general election, and then Republicans have to actually focus themselves on a big divisive primary with Donald Trump smack dab in the middle of it.
All right, NBC's Mark Murray, always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.